Does this small diaphragm condenser sound like rubbish? Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. In today's video, I want to talk about microphones, and specifically, I've got two microphones here that I absolutely love. If you've been a fan of the channel for quite some time, you know that this is my Neumann TLM 103. This is a great large diaphragm condenser microphone. I highly recommend it if you're into recording stuff, even as a hobby, and you want to get a really nice microphone. Can't go wrong with the TLM 103. Now, in today's video, I want to talk about this one. This is the Shure SM81. I've actually owned this one many times before, and I used to have two of them, and I really loved this microphone when we were recording piano or acoustic guitar. But I've always kind of wondered, I'll be honest with you, I've heard a lot of things about large diaphragm condensers. Whenever you're starting a studio, it's pretty common, you get recommendations, get your hands on a large diaphragm condenser microphone. In fact, one of the first microphones you're probably ever gonna get recommended to get is the Shure SM57. This is a dynamic microphone. It is a great purchase because it never goes out of style. This is a small diaphragm dynamic microphone. It runs always less than $100. If you're paying more than $100 for an SM57, you're just not doing it right. But when you get into recording and you look on the forums and things, everyone says you need to get a large diaphragm condenser mic. So my first large diaphragm condenser mic is this lowly Rode NT2A. This thing has got some electrical tape on it. It is holding the mesh together just fine. What I love about this one, you get the versatility, different cardioid patterns. You can do this in figure 8, omnidirectional. It's got a pad on it if you need to record like a kick drum or any drums in general. Check out the Rode NT2A. This thing is also very affordable as well. And then after some time, you start to think to yourself, okay, well, my Rode NT2A, I like it, but I don't love it. I want to get something nicer, and you're often recommended getting a large diaphragm condenser microphone. Well, in today's video, I wanted to see what is the point in getting a small diaphragm condenser mic, because honestly, it comes down, spoiled ending right here. It does come down to some of the verbiage. We think of a small diaphragm condenser like the Shure SM81. This one's small and this one's large, so I must want the large one. Don't you want something large instead of something small? I think it comes down to the verbiage, but I wanted to put it to the test. So in today's video, I tried as best I can. I'm not a super scientific person, you know me. Here in my home studio, I wanted to put these two microphones together as close as possible in a realistic recording situation. And I've recorded my Martin OM21 is an acoustic guitar, and I've also recorded something new to the studio, this mandolin. Now, I love this thing a lot. It's only been a few days I've had it. I just put some new strings on it yesterday. I am not a professional mandolin player, but I love the sound that it adds to the acoustic tracks. So what you're gonna hear in the rest of this video, you're gonna hear the differences or the similarities between these two microphones. In both instances, I tried to place the capsules as close as possible, okay? So you can pretty much see through the mesh. If you hold any of these up into the light, right there, you can see there is a capsule. And inside this SM81, there is also a capsule. So I tried to line these up as close as possible so that they are even with each other, both horizontally and also vertically. I put a little bit of space in between them, but not enough to dramatically influence the sound, because my whole point with this video is those of you who are considering getting a small diaphragm condenser, I hope this gives you some clarity, or it at least raises some questions with you as you listen to these tracks. You tell me, does this small diaphragm condenser sound like rubbish? Does it sound unusable? All right, before we get into the recordings of the large diaphragm condenser and the small diaphragm condenser, let me just say a big thank you to all of the subscribers out there, everyone who took the time to hit that subscribe button, to hit a like button, and to leave a comment. Year after year, I've been blown away by the amount of support, and I can't do it without you. So take the time, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and I'll be very appreciative of that. Now the rest of this video, what you're gonna see is I've got these two microphones lined up as close as possible. I've got them both going into my Apollo Twin X, and I've tried to match the gain as close as possible. Even after it was recorded, I opened up FabFilter Pro Q3, checked on some of the metering to make sure that these things are as close as possible. So all the tracks have effectively been normalized. You're not hearing any EQ or compression. Of course, YouTube's gonna add some compression, but just know that everything has been done in fairness. So whatever you're hearing happening on the TLM 103, it is for sure happening on the SM81. Now let's get to the tracks. You'll be able to see on screen which microphone is being played at a time. I put together a simple track featuring the piano, bass, mandolin, and acoustic, and then also some talking. So let's get into that. Okay, in midst of all of the musical recording, I also just wanted to speak into the microphones. So next what I did is I just talked in front. So this next segment here, you'll hear me turning my head left and right so you can hear any sort of rejection of what the microphones are hearing. Let's take a listen. Testing 1, 2, speaking directly in front of the microphones, facing the microphones as best I can. I'm now going to turn my head to the right. Turning towards the right, I'm speaking now at a, 45 degrees? 90 degrees. 90 degrees off axis. Speaking directly in front again. Now I'm looking to the left, speaking about 90 degrees off axis. Testing 1, 2, speaking directly in front of the microphones, facing the microphones as best I can. I'm now going to turn my head to the right. Turning towards the right, I'm speaking now at a, 45 degrees? 90 degrees. 90 degrees off axis. Speaking directly in front again. Now I'm looking to the left, speaking about 90 degrees off axis. Now, I don't know about you, but there is a substantial difference in price between these two microphones. The TLM 103 will easily run you about $1,000, and then the SM81 somewhere around $300 or $400, okay? Highly recommend you can look at the used market. Just make sure you're careful that you're getting the real deal and that your stuff is not messed up. But I am actually blown away of how similar these two microphones sound. So just my personal thoughts. This is nothing based on science, but just what I'm hearing when I'm listening to both of these is that the large diaphragm condenser does what you would expect it to do. It has a larger capsule, so it's actually picking up more of the room sound than the SM81 is. This could all be something that's just happening in my head and that's not based on reality at all, but it seems like this small diaphragm condenser is like a laser being pointed at whatever the source is. It has a lot more rejection of what's going on around me, and you can hear that especially when I'm speaking into the microphone and I turn my head. When I turn my head on the TLM 103, you can hear more of what's happening in the room. You're hearing my voice bounce off the walls and come back to the microphone. With the SM81, it seems to be fixated on my throat. So when I turn my head, it's still picking up a good signal. It's plenty usable. So these small diaphragm condenser microphones, you'll also see them a lot with camera setups. People use them as shotgun microphones. So if you're recording a video or some sort of TV sitcom, you'll see the booms coming in. Small diaphragm condensers are certainly great at doing that, or shotgun microphones, because just as they look like a laser pointer, and you can think of it like that. So my recommendations going forward, obviously, if you're starting a recording studio, you're looking to get your first big time microphone, I highly recommend you getting a large diaphragm condenser. I've heard this said by other YouTubers as well, that the thing is, these small diaphragm condensers might be more accurate and might give you a cleaner representation of what you're recording, but that isn't necessarily a preferred thing. When we think about preamp design, a lot of times the Millennia preamps, they're known for being pristine, very sterile, very clean. That's why they're used a lot of times on orchestras or band instruments. But we don't really like stuff being clean, if we're honest. That's why we put plugins. That's why we try to emulate old analog hardware, because it's not enough just to be clean. We want our tracks to be musical. So if you're somebody that's doing rock music or pop music, you're trying to put something together that is listenable on Spotify with that kind of genre, you probably need to lean towards the large diaphragm condenser. But if you're somebody who has an acoustic instrument, or if you're a piano player or an acoustic player and all you do is that instrument, you should consider getting a small diaphragm condenser microphone. Don't feel like you're missing out from having the large diaphragm condenser at all, because when you listen back to your tracks, whether that's violin, and I can also say this is true of piano as well, that when you listen back to a small diaphragm condenser on whatever acoustic instrument, you're not hearing hardly any distortion. Now, of course, that's going to have to do with the make and model of whatever microphone you're using. It is totally unfair that I'm using this Shure SM81 comparing to the Neumann TLM 103, but I can tell you that this is not a disappointing microphone whatsoever. So if you're on the market and you're looking to get that first big microphone and you happen to be somebody that's more of an instrumentalist, or you just want to roll the dice and say, hey, you know what, I'm going to record with small diaphragm condensers, that's totally fine. There's also the psychology of it that if I'm a vocalist and I'm singing into something like this, it's going to make me sing a little bit more on my toes than, honestly, if you put this microphone in front of me and ask me to sing into it, it's a little bit underwhelming. So there's that part at play as well. I really hope you enjoyed the video. Again, if you liked the video, hit the like button and subscribe button as well. Feel free to leave me a comment. I'd love to collaborate for more videos just like this in the future. If you have any requests, I'd be happy to hear you out. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.